Colonel Kemp, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us here in Israel. First of all, what are you doing here these days?
I've come to Israel to get as close a view as I can of the current conflict in order that I can make my own assessment of what's happening, to contribute to the international commentary that's taking place on Israel, much of which I find to be distortions of the truth. And it's my role, as I see it, to attempt to inject a kind of objectivity based on my 30-year military experience.
So your conclusions till now, we are 16 days after this war started. How do you think Israel is doing its job?
Well, I think one thing I would say is that much of the international media and many world leaders seem to draw some kind of comparison between Israel and the people they're fighting in Gaza, Hamas, where, of course, there is no equivalence between the two. We're talking about a liberal Western democracy fighting an internationally prescribed terrorist group. And the tactics being used by Hamas of human shields, of firing their missiles and storing their missiles in mosques, schools, hospitals, these kind of tactics are very similar tactics to the ones used by British forces in Afghanistan, I beg your pardon, by Britain's enemies in Afghanistan and Iraq. And the tactics that are being used by the Israeli Defense Forces and the operational methods being used by the IDF are very, very similar to the ones we use. So they're recognizable to me. I've been down to the border. I've seen IDF armored vehicles, infantry operating down there.
Yeah, well, we learned something from the British Army. You know?
I think we learn from each other, to be honest. I mean, Britain and Israel are very, very close allies in the military sphere and the intelligence world. And I think we share a lot of intelligence and we share a lot of military ideas as well.
Ron Benishai, please.
What can Israel do? Can the IDF do differently from what they do now in terms of getting better achievements and quicker achievements in the battlefield and without agonizing, so to say, the international community?
Well, I think that I would like to see the IDF operating much faster, going in perhaps harder and faster. That's what I would like to see. But having said that, I recognise, as you recognise, the pressures on Israel from all around the world to absolutely minimise the number of civilian casualties that they're causing. I believe that on the basis of everything I've seen, that everything the IDF does to protect civilians and to stop the death of innocent civilians is a great deal more than any other army, and it's more than the British and the American army.
But maybe we are overdoing it.
Well, I don't think you are, purely because of the international pressure, and it is important. You know, military operations when they're being conducted,
getting the legitimization of the international community.
Indeed, and I think Israel will depend to some extent on the international community in the aftermath of this operation, because we've heard from the EU that they have been recommending the demilitarization of Gaza by disarming Hamas. Now, whether that's possible or not is a question I would doubt, but nevertheless, it's organizations like the EU, the US, to a lesser extent the UN, who will be in a position, I think, after this conflict's finished, to support Israel in attempting to make sure that it doesn't happen again.